This is the It's Time to Refresh podcast with Brad Refresh, the podcast about life, music, traveling, shit, literal shit that is, and weird and wacky stories with Brad, and a range of guests from the planet Earth. Feel free to share the pod with your pals, your mom, your neighbor's dog, or even your shrink. It's all fun. You can follow our Facebook group called It's Time to Refresh Community, or It's Time to Refresh on Instagram. Write into the pod, ask questions, and share your stories. Enjoy the pod.
Hey kid, what time is it?
It's time to refresh.
You all right? How we doing? Just want to take 2 minutes of your time before we start this week's podcast to tell you about our Patreon. Patreon is a tool that we're using to help the podcast grow, give you better content, and, well, as I said, just let the podcast grow. So we've got 3 tiers. The first tier, there's only 20 of these spaces available, and it's £1 for life, and that's for It's Time to Refresh Originals. So if you've tuned in from day one and you want to join the cause, you can sign up for £1. Just follow the link in the description. We've got the standard Patreon, which you get access to bonus episodes, some exclusive content, Patreon specials, which we'll be recording, and early access to all future episodes. So you'll be getting them on a Tuesday instead of a Friday, which I think is fucking amazing for £3. That's less than a coffee. And then we've got our legend status VIP Patreons, which is £10. And that gets you tickets to all my gigs, and it will get you free entry to any It's Time to Refresh associated events, gigs in the future. So that's a little hint of what's coming up in the future. If you do like the podcast, then please share it with your mates. We are trying to grow this little thing we've got going. We've got some amazing guests coming up in the future as well, and we want this to go bigger and better. So sign up at Patreon at patreon.com/It's Time to Refresh. Thank you. Enjoy the episode. Back once again with episode 25 of the podcast. On this episode, we've got MC JONESY, Wigan-based MC. You came up our way a bit as well. You've sort of been around for a while. Anyone who knows MC JONESY, you'll have seen his stuff online. There's bits and bobs on YouTube, isn't there? Like proper recorded videos, and obviously your mixes and that you've promoted nights and that as well.
Yeah.
So how you doing up, mate? All right?
Yeah, good. Really good, mate. Yourself?
Good. Just fucking long drive down, innit?
Yeah, it's a long way. That I've done it many a times.
Yeah,
I said it before off camera. Doing it in the daytime's a million times better than 3 o'clock in the morning after a set.
Absolutely.
Just completely no lights on the M6 coming home. It's horrible.
Yep. But I just want to start this episode straight away. Obviously, you might have seen the little thing at the beginning of the episode. Unfortunately, it would have been this week.
Thursday night.
Thursday that we lost Stu Allen, legendary DJ in dance music. Really, sort of done loads of old school, hardcore, everything. Yeah, hip hop and that as well.
Absolute pioneer of the rave scene.
Yeah, massive inspiration for the north of the UK. His sort of influence sort of reached even out my way in the 90s. So it's kind of the scale he was on. With, like, as I said, legend gets thrown around too easily nowadays, and everyone's a legend. But like this guy
was a true legend.
Well, it's a testament to everything of how much of a legend he was. That my newsfeed was full of everyone.
Completely took over. Yeah. Even people as big in the game as like Kyle Cox and
I seen
all
that.
showing. It shows you the level that the guy was on.
Yeah.
And the respect that he had from everybody.
Great DJ and even better human being. I just want to say that. I wasn't great friends with him, but he befriended me because of such a lovely guy he was and what a presence he had. I'll just tell a little story. I said I wasn't going to write anything online about it or like that. I'll just get into it a little bit. I met Stu Allen at Bowlers, I would say nearly 10 years ago, and sort of it was what it was. I like met him, and obviously I was proper fanboying because he's of how big he is in the game and that. And he sort of grounded me there, and then he was like shaking my head and asking like how I was rather than like, do you know what I mean? Just it's a nice thing like that.
Yeah, he was such a gent.
And then I played with him a few times at different events, but I remember going to Birmingham for a night called Universal Hardcore when I was playing some hardcore down that way. I didn't really know anyone on the lineup, and when I got there, he recognised me like all them years later, and like come over pointing and giving me the thumbs up and that, and I went over, and he straight away like it wasn't like for the level he was on, he didn't need to know who I was,
exactly,
like that.
Yeah.
But the type of person he was
He always
just,
made sure.
Yeah. Like that, I think that's a testament to show of how good he was. And I went to Unity in the Sun in 2018. I've told a few stories about this on the podcast, and same again. He was there with his missus, and we went to this like party one night, and it was more like there was like tables and that set out, more of a relaxed vibe, and he was playing like old school and that, and he was on the decks, and he put his headphones down and came over and asked how we were doing, and he even like moved us closer to the decks and that where he was sitting, and it was like, I don't know whether he took a liking to me or not, I don't know, like, but he was such on a grounded level,
yeah,
and I just thought that was amazing. And obviously, have you booked him for the night?
Yeah, we've booked him for a few nights in a night I'm involved with over in Liverpool, and I performed with him a couple of weeks, about 2 months ago. I did a hardcore set with him in Liverpool, in an old warehouse in Liverpool, and like I say, as always, just really friendly, really nice. You could see that he wasn't 100%, but regardless, he still just treated everyone as he would. He was just greeting everybody, smiling, getting pictures of everyone. Just a top guy. Guy.
So yeah, I just wanted to open the podcast with this today because obviously it would be amiss if we didn't, because as you say, he's affected every. I don't know about MCs or like that, but he's affected every DJ in the Northwest in some way.
Without raves and DJ, like this gets so missed, but MCs are there for the DJs.
Yeah.
So effectively, without the rave scene that he helped build, the DJs wouldn't be there for the MCs wouldn't have the opportunities of which they do now. I don't think at least on the level that we have them on.
Absolutely.
So, massive respect.
Yeah, just wanted to open up with that. Yeah. As I say, like, it's just one of them sad things that happens in life. So yeah, I just want to move on now, and we'll get into your story, mate. We've travelled down to see you. So where did it all begin for you?
So I think it was. I was really young. I was like 11, 12, and I was listening to the likes of Eminem, DMX, and just a lot of the Dr. Dre, that American scene. And then someone put I can't remember exactly who it was. I've been asked this question a few times and I can never remember the person who it was, but it was someone local on this street, probably it was, and they just put a tape on, and it was a Cricketer's tape, and I was just like, this is fucking sick. What's this?
What was it? Did you know that it was a local thing or what? Like,
no, so I knew the music was a local thing because I'd listened to a lot of Italian and stuff like that, but I'd never got right into the depths of it as such, and I heard it and I was like, this is, because I'd listened to the music but without the MCs. I'd listened to the likes of Nats before and stuff like that, but never this, like, Hold Tight, Stephen J. And I was like, what's this? And it was just really good, and it was at a time, I was probably about 12, 13 when I started doing that. When I started listening to the Crick tapes, then I got introduced to the Mon Rose tapes and Blaze and Rhythm and the legends of that area. And I just thought, and it just started off as me and my mates we'd sat and we was having a drink, having a bong back in the day when it was, we were just stoners and we'd just sit there. And a lot of the time we're just saying other people's lyrics. And then obviously one thing leads to another, and I ended up doing it as I do now, travelling around and doing it. But it was just that old school, get your tape at the actual event, come away from the event, listen to it, live recordings. That's what sort of made me want to be an MC. And the whole Eminem vibe and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I think every one of our generation, like, I'm not even sure how old you are, to be honest with you, mate.
I'm 30, well, 31, 32 in a couple of
So
months.
you're a little bit older than me, but sort of, it's definitely, you came from the same generation because, like, I grew up the exact same. Like, we'd go in my mate's garage and obviously get the bong out.
It was the best generation, I think, because we lived in a time where we've had no social media, where we've had social media, where we've lived where the artist was booked purely off skill and reputation, and now where it's social media influenced a lot and stuff like that. So, and obviously a time where you didn't have an online platform to show your music and stuff. It was all mixtapes and that kind of thing. You went to a physical shop and bought a hard copy of that music, and rather than SoundCloud. So yeah,
definitely. I as I say, I can remember doing everything you said there. Like, I remember listening to like the Eminem Curtain Call album, and I'm like banging to this, like the lyrics.
The album. That was literally the album. Yeah, I was
listening
to it, and I used to listen to just on repeat all the time, just the full album over and over and over again, just learning the words and doing it. And the Twister as well. I used to listen to Twister quite a lot.
Right, and then obviously with the CDs, and I had a few tapes. But as I said, my sort of age out with the tape thing was dying out. I've still got like a big tape collection because just through like collecting over time. But and like the CDs, it was always like for my area, obviously the Cricketer. But then we had like our local area, so there was like we had the Park Fusion, a lot of the different events up our way. But then obviously that Cricketer CD was massive. Like in our area, it reached everywhere.
In that scene, I think at that time when it was before the whole social media thing, if something clicked on, like as a Cricketer CD, it didn't matter where or when, that was what got shared, so it'd get distributed to sort of anywhere listen to that genre of music that was the king daddy of the CDs and stuff like that, the all nighter and.
Absolutely, but there's a few that obviously stick out whereas you were like the Cricketer type thing, I was a cross between. I like the Cricketer stuff because say like Desire or someone like that would play more some hard house bits in there, and he'd throw a bit of Italian and stuff in, and then I was cross between that and like sort of Pia CDs, obviously being the DJ, and it's like there was a lot of big
more about the DJ,
yeah. So that's it's definitely on the same sort of generational sort of time of coming through, but so yeah, from there, like when did you become like Jonesy? Like when did you start writing lyrics? What was the thing?
When I was probably 13, 14, there used to be a night called Liquid under 18s, your typical under 18s night where it was 600-700 people, and it was just everyone drinking cider, going in on the Lamborghini, wearing like outrageous glow in the dark outfits and that kind of thing. And they had MCs on at the time. I can't remember the name of the guy, but when we used to go, I thought, fuck it, he looks like he's having a well good time on that stage and doing that. And it was a different side to it I've seen, because I'd seen sort of me and my mates sat there going, company gang, like that kind of just waffling shite sort of thing. And I seen this guy holding a stage, interacting with the crowd, and it was sort of a mixture of that and then the lyrics, and I don't mean this disrespectfully because I think they're the best of all time, but the basic lyrics, what was on Cricketers, you know what I mean? Just like the I'm leaving on a jet plane. the mixture of them two things made me want to do it. So I started writing lyrics when I was about 13 properly, actually sitting down and taking time to do them. And then we'd have the Technics stack, and we'd have the old CD. I can't remember what make it was, but it was literally 2 CDs either side.
Right.
And there was a cam one, which was a big stack one, but there was another one, and it was like a home DJ thing. It was a cheap piece of shit, but that's what we used to use, and we just used to press record and play it, and then just have a bash and then listen back to it. And it started off as that, and then what was the program called? There was a program It weren't Fruity Loops. It was something way before. Well, probably not way before. I don't know how long Fruity Loops has been about. But it was a program where you could record on. It wasn't Audacity either, and we used to just mess around on there, put a backing tune on it, and then have a go and do it. And once I started doing that, and they got shared around the school, and then all of a sudden it was the school I was at. Everyone was listening to my stuff at the school, and then it's like expanded to Wigan, and everyone. I'd be on a bus and I'd hear someone listening to my music at the back of the bus, and I was like, what? And cars driving past me, and I thought, this is bizarre. And then it was then that I started sort of like getting involved in the club scene, and I went to the under-18s and they did an MC competition. I entered the MC competition and I won it, and then I become resident for the under-18s at Lush Clubbing, which was Liquid and Envy's.
So what year was this then?
I'd say I was about 14, so about 2004, something like that.
Right.
So about 2004. And I started doing the under-18s there, and shortly after, my memory from the years of abusing my body of the teenage years isn't the best, but it was somewhere around the same time, shortly after I started going to the Maxims under-18s.
Right.
They was like the two main things that you had in Wigan. If you was in that genre of music, you had the Liquid under-18s, which was sort of your cheesy pop and all that lot, and your even conga in the middle of the events and everything. But then they did a set which was just specifically bounce, or what we now call bounce, and what was sort of the same things they were playing at the pier and cricketers and stuff. And I was doing the under-18s there, and then the under-18s at Maxims as well. So I was sort of Wigan at this stage. It was like primarily Wigan that I was involved in. I hadn't been anywhere else or done anything else. Yeah. And I was just interested in them scenes, what was going on.
Right. That's sort of, it's sort of makes sense. As you say, you become like a known local before you sort of go anywhere else. Isn't it? That's what it is. But started at a young age where you can sort of make a name for yourself within school as well. Like
that helped.
And
I think because I mean, I wasn't the most popular kid in the school, but I was always a decent person. So I got on with like the less popular kids, and I was also mates with the main people in school. So having that circle around me, I think that we ended up the music naturally distributed quicker than it would have done had I been part of sort of a clique or something. So it was mad, because you go from never expect to listening to someone else to then walking past people listening to you. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But as I say, like I was starting to get into like the club DJing and stuff like that, sort of back end of school, and I used to sell chocolate and Lucasades and that in school.
Exactly the same.
And that's how I got on with sort of everyone. So like, I used to go over to like what you would call the moshes, right? And I'd be selling to them, and they'd be like, I'd be like, oh, your music's fucking shit. You should listen to some of this that I listen to. And obviously,
and sort of slip it in there and get
and mention it, and like, but no one was interested. But like as years gone by, that's sort of paid off a thing, because a lot of them moshers now listen to bounce music. And it's like,
just out of curiosity, completely off the subject of music. But when you say you were selling stuff in school, was that because it got took away from the school? Yeah. Because Jamie Oliver come in and stopped all the vending machines. And see, this is why, this is one of the reasons that like I appreciate you as a person, because you look at opportunity. And because it's the same thing, that's what I was like. Everyone was furious because there was no chocolate, there were no fizzy drinks in school, and I was like, right, Quick Save's still a thing, Netto is still a thing. Yeah. I'm going there, I'm stocking up, I'm getting it all, and I had my backpack, and then obviously I moved into cigs as well. I used to go on holiday with my mum, bring back these shit cigs, just sleeves upon sleeves, and I ended up coming home on my dinner hour to get more cigs, go back and sell them in school.
Oh, we had our ways and means. Like, I simply done it because fucking I come from no money whatsoever, so like, it's not even a sob story or like that, but like there'd be some times I wouldn't even get dinner money in the mornings. So like at that point I thought, if I can't get money, I'm gonna have to get my own money. So it as I say, just started off doing that. You had your ways and means when you were selling like stuff. So for instance, you have your chocolate bars at 50 pence, your Lucasades are a quid. it'd be 50p a cigarette, but after 12 o'clock when no one else in school's got any cigarettes
They
left,
go up.
they go
Because
up
the
a
demand,
quid. Yeah.
the convenience, that's it.
But if you come to me at 9 o'clock in the morning, I used to sell free for a quid.
Exactly,
Do you know what
yeah.
I mean? So like people like
but now looking at taking it into our world that we live in now, ticket sales, the first that go on sales, the cheap, get them out, and then once you see the night state doing well, it's like, hold up a minute, right, get these prices up and get into the normal level. But yeah, it's the same. So as you said, when I was younger, so I was actually born in the house which is 2 doors away from here. I was born there, and then my mum moved into this house when I was about 2, and so I lived on this estate.
Yeah.
I don't live here now. We're using this for a reason, but we're here for a reason. And, so I grew up on this estate, and the school was just down the road. My primary school was at the bottom of the street. It's now been knocked down, and the high school I went to up until year 10, I think, before I got kicked out of there and went to another one. Was just at the end of the bottom of the road, turn right, and at the bottom of that road. So this estate was all that I knew, and everyone who I knew, and I didn't venture off this estate.
This was your world.
This was it. This is all. I certainly didn't know that Workington, Whitehaven, and all that existed. It was just. So if people was playing my stuff on this street, I was like, fucking hell, I'm King Ding. You know what I mean? Like people are playing, like walking past the field, and kids were playing, and they go, yes, Jones, because I wasn't when I was younger, I was such a loner. When I'd walk around these streets and I'd just like collect little fucking spiders and newts and all that kind of stuff, but I was a class clown. So I was never like bad behaved in school, but as I went into high school, I become the class clown because I just wanted to be accepted. I just wanted to make people laugh and for people to accept me. So but obviously that gets you into trouble because you disrupt class, and so I got into trouble quite a lot.
This sounds like an identical story to mine, mate, but like the thing was with me, like I get to the point I don't shut up. I just like, this is why I think I started a podcast. I started a podcast because I just like talking to people. So like you're in the classroom, you sit at the back, and like obviously you'd be selling stuff as well in the classroom. So like you'd be selling sweets and that, but like then people actually trying to get on with the work, and I was just like, so what'd you do? What are you doing this weekend? Or like just creating conversation. It's just like, and that's how I got kicked out of like lessons, and I never actually got kicked out of school. I just got put in like isolation area. So like I spent a long time there, but I was getting to the point I was selling chocolate bars to they're not teachers, but like teaching assistants in isolation.
And the people who was looking after the bad behaved bunch. So when I was in school, I was a bit of a tit, bit of an idiot, and obviously, with everything, if you laugh, you get a reaction. The next time, if you do something the same, you don't sort of get a reaction, so you have to up your stakes. And it got to a point where I was just blatantly it wasn't acceptable to have me in the classroom because it was so disruptive. And again, I was never a bully. I was never a bell end. I was always a good person, but just different things of what we'd do. Not just me. There was like a group of my friends, Shane, Steve. There's a few, and we used to just take the piss basically.
Yeah, it sounds similar.
Yeah.
As I said, I never got kicked out myself. It was more of the closest I got to kicked out was just a complete fuck up of a day. So like obviously the Jamie Oliver thing came in, so I'd try and sell all my stock before dinner time, sell it all, and then we'd go through like the English block and jump out the window and go to the chippy. So like, do you know what I mean? So you get a decent dinner
with your money that you'd do. So there was a butcher's round our way that was couple of 100 metre away from the school, so we'd leave school at dinner even though we weren't supposed to go and get chicken wrap or chicken and
same crap in it.
It's always the case, isn't it? So you wanted, ideally, I know it's a bit looking deep into it, but you wanted a better life than you'd been given. So you found a way to do that, and then your reward was going getting something that you couldn't just have easy access to. So, exactly. And it drags into your adult life now, because I think the fact that you're doing this podcast, I've spoke to you about this before, and you're trying to step away and move in a different direction and see an opportunity and stuff like that, it's something that I respect massively, because if everyone did that, the not even just the scene, but the world would be such a much better place if it was achieved. There's a lot of people that think we spoke off camera. You said you were just saying you don't want to be the best, and you know your limits as such. And I said that I don't think there is a limit. I think that if people have the belief in themselves and the time and put the effort in, then anything's achievable. And I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do. It's a nice one for that. But as I say, like I'm here for fun. Like I said to you, this is.
You've got to have that combination because you said once it becomes sort of work orientated, then it is easier to lose track of it. Like I'll talk about it more later, I imagine. But with the MCing side of things now, it's become more like work to me. Which you
lose sight of why you actually got into it.
Why you do it, and I only actually enjoy the larger events now, the bigger stages, bigger crowds, stuff like that, or something a bit different. So if I go up to the likes of up your neck of the woods, it's something that I don't do every week, so it's enjoyable when I do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, I've said this multiple times, I would happily rather travel to Workington, Whitehaven, Newcastle, and do a set for cheaper than I would in my hometown of Wigan. And the reason being is I enjoy it more.
Yeah.
And it's not something that I do for a financial
gain. Absolutely.
A financial gain. I do it because I enjoy it. And the fact that if I'm not enjoying it, which I started not doing a couple of years ago, I was like, what can I... So I started DJing. I DJed when I was younger. I actually DJed before I MC'd. But I thought to myself, I'm going to start DJing. So I was going to Pirate Studio with like Yanis and a few other DJs in the scene, and getting better at DJing. And then I put some events on as well. And it was a case then of I wasn't getting bored because I was doing multiple things. So it stopped me from getting bored because I get bored very easily. So
I think like you say, if it ever becomes a job. Like if I ever feel like this podcast is a job, it won't happen anymore. It'll just stop. Like, cause I don't think that I've got like any sort of like disorder or like that. But if I'm not being I'm I'm dead blunt. Like a lot of people who don't know me sort of other than this podcast and they've only watched this podcast, they won't see it. But if I'm not interested in talking to it, like this sounds fucking awful saying it out loud, but like
it's true.
if somebody sort of like disrespects or has like, and I've got no interest in talking to someone for whatever reason, whether they're a fucking dick or whatever, I just cut it off and then that's it, end of conversation. It's like with this, like I don't talk to family. This like family I don't talk to. I've just cut them off there and then just because. That, like, just the way I am.
So I went through, as I touched on it earlier, saying about it, I wanted people to accept me, I wanted people to like me, hence why I was a class clown. And that carried on literally until my late 20s. And I was so scared of people not liking me and not wanting to accept and like, not rejection as such, but I just wanted people to like me.
Yeah.
And I was spending that much time trying to make other people happy that I was making myself unhappy. And I was like, it sort of clicked, and Duffy, MDMC, said to me, when you hit 30, your complete, like, mindset will change.
Perspective on everything.
And I'm going, fuck off, Duffy, you know what I mean? Like, you're over than 30, it's easy to say that yours it is, and true, honestly, hats off to him. I hit 30, and I literally just went, fuck this, I'm doing exactly what I want to do, when I want to do it, and... If I piss people off, whatever, I'll still be a gentleman. I'll still be kind and considerate and X, Y, Z. But I'm not bending over backwards for people that don't bend over backwards for me. I'm not showing respect to people that don't show respect to me.
Exactly.
So I literally just said, if I want to do it, I'm gonna do it, and if I don't want to do it, I won't do it. Like a shit example of it. If someone was saying, "Oh, do you want to come and do such a thing?" Even though I didn't want to do it, I'd go and do it. Because I didn't want to let them people down.
Yeah.
Where now I'm like, nah, mate, can't be asked. And I don't even need a reason. I'm just like, no. Same with bookings. Like, I'm not feeling it as much as I used to anymore. So people message me and they'll say, "Hi, can you do this event?" And I'll just say, "No, sorry, mate, I'm not interested." And they'll try and offer more money, or they'll try and, if it's a date issue in regards to that, they'll try and swap the dates. And I'm just like, oh, look, mate, I appreciate it, but it's not. And for me now, I've got to a stage where if I'm gonna be taking bookings, it's something that I want to do, something that I want to be a part of. I like it, and it doesn't necessarily mean it could be a smaller event, but I like what they do.
The idea of it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a good example of it's Fat Goose. When Fat Goose come on the scene, and it wasn't massive like BTID, Sopranos, XYZ, but I loved what they had.
What they stood for.
So
sort of thing.
I was there. I was down and I got involved with them lads. So yeah, big up the Fat Goose boys.
They have a good thing going for themselves. Absolutely. You can see that it's driven by like a good ethos and that as well. Where it's like
it's driven because they enjoy it.
Yeah,
That is the main thing. So the it's not money driven. It's not ego driven. It's because they enjoy it and they just link up with the mates and they do it, and that's that. And yeah, every time I've been with them, it's been a good jam.
Class.
Good.
Right, we sort of got off subject there, but like we'll say, I just wanna we'll sort of go back a bit. Who was the first person you met in the scene? Like where, because everyone's got their foot in the door, sort of thing. Where so obviously you were getting your notoriety, you're in your local area. At what point was like your sort of your footstep into the scene? Did you go to a rave or what was it?
I think just purely being at the under-18s at Lush. So at the time it was a few years on. I was still doing the under-18s. When the Blackout Crew blew up, the Blackout Crew used to come and perform at the same events that I was performing at as like an hour slot. The Blackout Crew. So I got to know Jordan, Dowie, Viper, mostly Jordan and Dowie back in the day. I just spoke to, but I wouldn't say that at the time that was what got me into the scene. Like say your foot in the door. I think that I just associated with them very, not like matey, you know what I mean. It was like and that was that.
Yeah.
But watching what them lads did and what they achieved, that gave me the push again to do it. But I think it was Maxime's with the under-18s, with Finchy. Finchy was sort of. Well, he just rocketed up, and so his dad used to live on the next street from here, and his mum lives sort of up the road there. He's been here a few times, and he used to have a garage, and I went there, and it was sort of that networking, linking up and stuff, and then I seen him at the under-18s, and I think that's just sort of how it did. It went into that. It went into mic blagging as such. That's. If anyone says that they didn't do that at the start of their career at some point, then that's they did. And I went to the under-18s a couple of times as a punter, and then people would say like, "Oh yeah, Jonesy's good, get him on." And there was I started doing the under-18s, and then I did the over-18s and the cricketers over-18s, and I sort of just. But the weird thing So when YouTube come about, there was one of these we were speaking about earlier where you just record a track and do it. Me and a guy called Levi from Wigan, we did a track over cruising, and someone edited it and put the MC Smalley, that's my
I've
name.
heard of that,
Go, fuck off, and then it went into me and Levi doing it, and it ended up blowing up and getting millions of views. Probably, 100% not because of me and Levi, it was because Smalley was so big at the time. So that sort of pushed as well. That helped me massively, and I just sort of got into events. But then as I started being booked and doing different events on sort of the same level that I am now, I quit. So then I just disappeared off the face of the earth for the first 6 years.
Well, this is my perception of how I seen it. Like, obviously, if I'm wrong, correct me.
Yeah.
I heard that thing back in the Bluetooth days, that MC Smalley mashup thing.
Yeah.
And like this is Jonesy, right? Okay. And then I heard nothing, and then I literally years later that you came back and
so that'll be it. As I started getting the bookings in the cricketer and even like Bolton, Bury, Manchester, Liverpool.
Who was the first promoter to book you?
It was Lush Clubbing in Wigan, which was Liquid and Envy, but it was under-18s.
So what was the event? What was that called?
It was just literally Liquid under-18s. It didn't even have a brand as such. I think the first brand to book me was Maxime's. I can't remember the exact night, but it was about 2005, 2006, and I was on there at an over-18s event. but then I went to so I used to do just Maxime's Cricketers and little bits. But as I say, as I got into it, I literally just because I ended up really bad on drugs, and I ended up having massive panic attacks and everything, and my body just went, Jonesy, you fucking can't do this. And obviously, I don't remember much of my teenage years because I was always off my fucking crust.
Yeah.
So when my body eventually went, I just the link between the rave scene and the drugs, I just cut it off.
Yeah.
Completely, and I just stopped. So I stopped even with my close mates, some of my closest mates on this planet. I just distanced myself from because I couldn't be around drugs. Because I'm one of these people, I'm either all in or I'm not. So I just detached myself, and I sort of like fell off the radar. I still stayed in touch with people like Easy and Vinny T. He's a guy who I've known for years as well. I stayed in touch with a few of the people on the scene, but I distanced myself from it and just lived a normal life, I suppose. It's not normal, but a life that didn't involve music.
Right. So what year was it you came back?
It was roughly, and I'm going roughly, I'd say 7 years ago now, 6-7 years ago. I picked Easy up, and I don't know what we was doing, we was going somewhere. We ended up recording the video in the car. We just propped it up similar to your camera is in the car, and we did a video, put it out, and at that time Easy was sort of like, he wasn't at the level he's at now, but he was certainly on his way to getting there. So the people,
he was like scratching at that door for so long.
It's crazy because, as I said, I know Easy from a youth club. Yeah. I got asked to go down to this youth club round in the local area that he lives. I'm going to say I was about 15, 16, something like that. And I got asked to go down and like a special performance type thing, like go in and just do something. And I heard this, and it was it just started going on back with a vengeance. And I thought, who the fuck's that? I thought, he's sick. And I had no idea who he was, and then I got introduced to him. And then obviously crazy from hearing that to now years later, ultimately the fucking he's self-titled King of the Jungle, and he's fucking smashing it.
Well, he's coming on here at some point, but obviously, you know, his wild lifestyle. It's hard to lock down a deal.
I tried to get him to come on today, so he's obviously he's come back from a beefer last night, and I just like, I love his crazy lifestyle, but at the same time, I don't want to get too personal with him, with it and with that, but obviously it's not good for people. I'm not one of these, if I do something, you do it, but I've been there. I come out of it, now I'm fucking completely sober and I don't touch drugs. I very, very rarely have a drink, so it's just, he's been making a conscious effort to do less of it, let's say that. But when he went to Ibiza, obviously,
it's fun, you're older, aren't you?
Everyone's seen it, so my idea was, if I could get him on this with me today here, absolutely rough as fuck after a week binge, just sat there going on, and the stories and that, but he's in no fit state.
As I say, I try to get him on the podcast, and it's just trying to get the date right, because
he's a busy guy.
Yeah, he's busy. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, did you see? Because obviously, he's my favorite MC.
He is. He's mine as well.
But did you see that in him when you first seen him?
100%.
You can tell when someone's got it.
Yeah. So like I say, I just was like, who the fuck is this guy? Because there's certain people. The first time I heard him, the first time I heard Tasker, I was like, wow, this guy. The first time I heard Colsey, because I used to listen to Colsey years ago, way before he sort of come about this time on the scene, because he did a similar thing. He was on the scene and then he disappeared and then he come back. And I used to listen to Colsey years and years ago. At the same, so him and Easy used to do not like a podcast, it's like a youth club type vibe. And they used to do Menace of the Mic CDs.
Oh, I've heard them. Yeah, on YouTube.
So a lot of people don't realise that Colsey, because he was literally a kid on the video, so they don't realise that it's the same person. But actually, yeah. So when I first heard Easy, I just knew. I was like, this kid is going to be. And then as time went on, and through all the endeavours that he's had in life and stuff like that. He's always been focused on the music, and then he'd fell off, and then he'd be focused and fall off. And when Dorsa Donk blew up massively, he wasn't still getting the credit that he deserved, and I just think it's because of personalities. The personality of him was sort of sheltered and stuff like. I know it's hard to believe now with him being such like a vibrant, loud character, but once he started stepping up, and then he started getting bookings, and then it went the other way, and he was like, I am the fucking best, I am this, and it was like, yeah, I know you are easy, but fucking chill out a minute, mate, do you know what I mean? But it was that mentality that he needed that mentality to believe in himself and get himself to where he is now, and it's worked out for him to where he is the ultimate MC. He just smashes it, doesn't he? In all honesty.
Absolutely. So you did that video with him. So this, I'm just guessing, is 2015? You say 6-7 years
I'd
ago?
say it was about that time, yeah.
Right.
And I wasn't planning on sort of making a I'd spoken to Easy about it and a few other people. It was like, oh, I've been thinking about putting a mix out, doing this, doing that. But I did that with him, and then there was Mark Petch was putting little events on in Pure, in Warrington, and he was booking me for some. And I didn't know anybody on the scene, nobody, apart from the people who I knew from years and years ago. I knew nobody because it was a completely new scene. And I went to an event that I was booked at in Warrington, one of the first events I did back, and Serious Sounds come up to me and said, oh, I've seen this video that you've done with Easy, mate, it's fucking sick and blah blah. And then MC Junior come up to me and he said the same thing, and then Cheese come up to me, and I was like, fucking hell, who are these people? Like, they're all giving me credit in that, and I thought, well, it must be good. So it made me want to push more. And the next thing I knew, I was doing a promo. I've been booked for Sopranos for the 8th birthday. So what birthday are they on now?
Don't know. So the 8th birthday, I'm gonna say, was 2000.
I think it's the 13th this year, isn't it?
Right. So say 2016, 2017.
Yeah. So it's going to be roughly around that area. It was the Sopranos' 8th birthday, and Yanis I knew from cricketers from years and years ago, and from a couple of other things. So I linked up with Yanis and did a promo mix with Yanis for the 8th birthday.
This is where I think I first heard of you. Then coming back.
Well, that would have been sort of the first big, because obviously it would have been on the Sopranos bounce page, so it would have been acquirable. But other than that, I maybe done one or two little things, but nothing. That was the first thing that was put out properly. So yeah, that's when I sort of come back, and I did the Sopranos 8th birthday, and the one of the gigs, one of the ones that like made me want, I'm ready to do this again, was the Ultimate Reunion at Guildhall, Preston.
Right.
And I got asked to do it, and I was like, so not in two minds, but just like, fucking hell, am I ready for that big?
Yeah.
Because I'd been doing 50 people in a nightclub round here and stuff like that, other than Pure, which is in my back garden and such, so it's comfortable, because I struggle with anxiety a lot as well. So when I got asked to do it, I was like, oof. And I went and did it, and PMB said, fucking hell, come, get on my set. So I went upstairs into the main hall, fucking thousands of people, whatever it was, and I jumped on, and the crowd interaction, I was like, I want to do this again. That's when I was like, I want to do it, because I didn't get to that level of that big stage, even back when I did it. I was doing Maxime's Cricketers and stuff that people listened to, that got into. I was living my dream, because I was doing the things that I listened to. I listened to the Maxime CDs, the Crick CDs, but that big stage production with lasers and all I'd never done that. So that made, I thought, fucking hell, I really enjoyed that. So that's why I got back into it. So it was around then, I think. Got
a thing for you. Obviously, we were talking about growing up and that before. I just want to ask, because see playing on gigs like that, it's addictive, eh? Like,
it's massively addictive.
Yeah, it's addictive. Like, I don't think people realise it as well. Like I've had a fair few good gigs and stuff like that. I've had fucking thousands of shit ones, but when you get them big ones, it's like you think, this is worth trailing around doing all the shit.
Yeah, that's what makes it with it. For years, it gets brushed over a lot of the time. But a lot of the people, it doesn't stand for everyone, but a lot of people on the scene did it for fucking nothing. For years, to just pushing and pushing. It wasn't, they just, like, I think it doesn't ruin it, because obviously it's good to sort of fast track people now. But people come into the scene, get a bit of popularity, and just want paying big money.
Yeah.
And it's like, fucking
Yeah.
hell, we didn't have that luxury back in the day. We were just like trying to, I don't know exactly, because I weren't monitoring it, but I did a long time where I weren't earning a penny, or I was earning less than what I was spending on the night.
Yeah.
Even just, I'd have 5 drinks and that was my wage gone. Do you know what I mean? I was literally getting a bit of money. So now I think that when it's on these big stage levels, it's just a completely different atmosphere as such.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I remember like traveling out. Like I remember, do you know when you're young and eager, and it, like for me, I used to just like, I'll try this competition, because like for a long time I was restricted to Cumbria, which, to be fair, in the grand scheme of things, I'm glad I didn't go further afield earlier, because probably wasn't ready for it or out like that. Like I was playing to the crowd I knew, so I knew what they wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I don't want to say it like I'm not by far not the best DJ in the world, but I'd call myself a bit of like, what's the word? Like a journeyman DJ.
Yeah.
Like if you put me in a rave, you could put me in like a fucking medicine style rave. I'll adapt to that thing. Back then, I'll just play what I like, and that's it. Yeah.
And it comes with time. It comes with experience. It comes with sort of the fucking trenches. It comes with that kind of thing. So you travel around and you see things and you adapt, because, like I said, years ago, I was solely just lyrics, and that was it. I could have never stood on stage and hosted.
Exactly.
I didn't even know it existed. Like I say, I've watched a few people do it in the under-18s liquid and stuff, but I never thought that's something I do, because I'm not that person. I'm the person that writes lyrics and does that.
It's weird how much you have to like. I understand this now, but in retrospect, it's like you don't realise, even if you play for the same brand, sometimes if it's in a different town, you'd adapt to it. For instance, I'm up in Carlisle tonight playing for Sanctuary. I wouldn't play a lot of the tunes that I would in Carlisle in Wigan, because it just doesn't translate the same.
No. Yes. When you go to, so obviously I venture up to Workington quite a bit. When I go up to Workington, it's a completely different
scene. It is.
It's completely different, and they like it harder. They like it faster than what they do down it. Even though medicine and stuff was like pop up here. Obviously, because Makina's big up in Workington, up in Whitehaven and stuff like that, it's sort of that bit faster and up there, it's massively about the MCs. I feel like you go
depends where you go again. That's what I'm trying to say. Like you have to be adaptable.
So you have to adapt. Yeah.
I would play different sets in Workington than I would in Whitehaven, because in Whitehaven it is very vocal driven music. Like it's more, I'd call it clublandy, and then you go up to Workington and they want to hear Go DJ by Alex K. Absolutely fucking
just pounded.
Big dinky riffs to someone to MC to.
But the good thing is, what makes the best. So the for me, in my opinion, the likes of John Neal, Joe Taylor, Yanis, them three for me are like, do you know what I mean, massive. And the reason that I respect them so much is because they can read the crowd. They be mid set and something just won't be working quite as they want it to, and everything they've done they'll scrap and whack, they'll go into something else, and they can pick it up, and it's something that because I'm an observant person, I've watched many a times, and just watching them just take control back, especially if the DJ that been on before him had played really hard and the dance floor are quietened down, and then watching them just get that crowd back, it's all adapting and knowledge of because you're well travelled and well experienced. It's just really fascinating to watch.
It is, absolutely, definitely. Same goes for MCs as well. Like there is some times where you might say you're in that, where was it, Guildhall, you're in the Guildhall event, you wouldn't be going for it like you would in, say, like a medicine or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But whereas if you go to medicine and you're not doing the way they do it, you'd be fucking
Yeah,
kicked out of the
'cause
circle.
it's
Do you know
all-
what I mean?
and-
It's just one of them, isn't it?
And for me, I thoroughly enjoy both. If it's the right, so the closest thing you're going to get to medicine this day and age is Antidote,
Yeah.
and I've been part of Antidote for quite a few years now, and we're all mates, and we all bounce off each other. We've known each other for years, so we did an Antidote not so long ago in Warrington. The last set, Power Hour, we were on the dance floor, stood in a circle, back to
I've
back
seen
to back.
videos of
Do you know,
that, yeah.
and it's anywhere else, I wouldn't be a fan of that.
Time and a place.
If that happened in Pure and we all went on the dance floor and blah blah blah, that's not it. That's
it's not
what it
organic
is.
at all,
No,
is it?
it's
Yeah.
not. No, we're on the in Antidote environment. It's totally acceptable, and the crowd are there and they buzz it because that's what they're expecting. That's what Antidote is.
Absolutely.
Even going back to the videos of the Viper in the studio when everyone's there, Joey's on the decks and everyone's there, and it's that vibe where big stage productions, like Pure for me is a big stage production. It's, you know what I mean, it's a club that's 600 capacity, 900 capacity. They open up the top bit and stuff. You can't go doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Actually, saying that, the Antidote club was around the same capacity, but I suppose
No, it's
the
layout
feel,
and everything.
the
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
of
yeah,
everything,
yeah.
the layout. So yeah,
I think it takes a long time for a lot of DJs to do it. I think I learned early on you need to be adaptable. I got a residency playing sort of just club music, like you commercials type stuff, and from there that I quickly learned that, like, right, okay, you can't just do what you want to do. You've got to play to your crowd. And then I think if every DJ who came through, regardless if you don't like commercial music or not, try it, because it makes you a better fucking DJ in what you want to pursue.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talks recently, and you'll have seen it as well, in regards to like switching the bounce scene up. And I know we've spoke about it briefly. We're switching the scene up, and this is one of the things that we could do. We could introduce a different genre or slightly different style of, or even get other artists from different scenes in this scene playing our music, and vice versa. And it's something that I've got my eye on. I'm trying to do something with at the moment with that as well. But like you say, adaptability, changing, being fresh at the moment. Like I look on Facebook and Instagram, things like that, what's popping and what's going off, and you can see this general direction that things are going in.
Absolutely.
So it's knowledge of because this is something that's really, really missed in the scene, I believe, is the mentality of the artists, of the DJs, of the MCs, of the promoters, is a complete different mentality to that of the ravers. And if you're playing for other artists' respect and other DJs, other MCs' respect, rather than the crowds, then you're not gonna you're not channeling into that. You're not doing your job fully. So I think that I really like when like Kenty will put on who do you want to see at the event. Yeah, brilliant, because that's what it needs. It needs, if the ravers are choosing who they want to see on the event, surely that's got to be better than who the promoter wants on the event.
Absolutely, yeah.
That way we get mixed up lineups and.
The thing is with it, like I 100% agree, by the way, but what I think is a problem within the scene, that you do see DJs and to an extent MCs say they'll bring in a tune, that they're looking to the left to see if the other DJs are like approving
of it, rather than the crowd reaction.
look in front of you, and if it's going off in front of you, you know for a fact the guys on your left, they'll be like, fucking hell, you don't need to look over there. You just, if they know that you've got control of that dance floor, then you're doing your job.
Because something I've always said, it's, and from being, I've dabbling in promotion and putting a few nights on myself and stuff like that, it's sad, but a lot of people, if Pure's on, and this sounds awful, but it's so true, if Pure's on, people are going to Pure because Pure is on. Are you going Pure Saturday night? They couldn't even tell you what fucking event it is or who's on the lineup or whatever.
Yeah.
It's because Pure's on.
It's like Peer, isn't it? That's
Peer, and that's it. There is a small group, and these are the people that are sort of ravers, but they party with the MCs and DJs that go to the events and travel round with them.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of the people in there,
you've got your hardcores, and then you've got like your general listeners.
The vast majority of a crowd, especially when it comes to Pure and places, Wigan, big venues, they're there because that's on. They don't even know who half the artists are in the nicest way possible. They probably do when they get there and see them, but they didn't know they was on prior to going. They're going because Pure's on. So mixing it up and changing things up and doing that is something that I think needs to be.
Yeah, I think what one way like the promoters really sort of capitalise on it is they've got that core hardcore who knows everyone on the lineup, and they're putting these lineups on to appease them, and then it's them, the ravers, who's creating the hype rather than the promoters, and they're like, oh my god, like going to somebody who doesn't know nothing about. You need to get, this is going to be banging, and it's like they don't know why it's going to be banging, like the general listener, but because their mate who's involved with the scene knows it's going to be banging.
It's word of mouth and it spreads, but I suppose it swings and roundabouts, because I've been to places. I did is it the Civic Hall in Whitehaven?
Yeah,
I did there, and Whitby was on, and there was people that come from Warrington, Preston. I've come to see Whitby, so I suppose booking, especially with someone on the level that Andy is you're going to have that you can book him and you know that you're going to get what you pay for him back. Do you know what I mean? Because people are going to come for him, specifically for him. So it does work in that way. And it's the same with like Easy and John Neal, Joe Taylor. People go for the artist and go there. But then also what you've got to take into consideration is that you've got to mix. You've got to compromise and have 50% of that and 50% of what the ravers wants, and that way you're never going to please everyone, but in that, and that's my opinion, that's a very bold statement to make as well, but that is what I feel it needs that mix up.
Absolutely. So we've gone off on another tangent here, but it's just one of them things, mate. It happens. That was talking about Preston Guildhall.
That's it. It goes on.
So we'll sort of move on from the Guildhall. So what was next for you? You'd have to doing that. Which, like I said, it's an addiction. It's once you've had a taste of a big stage, it's like
it makes you want more and more of it. And we started doing under 18s events at Pure, and obviously that's where I come through and where I learnt my craft as such in the under 18s, that environment. So going back to it and seeing this new generation coming in and enjoying it, it was just Pure again, rammed because it was Pure under 18s. It just gave me that same feeling. I was like, wow. And also the added bonus of it took me back to my roots of where I started as an under 18s performer. And we started doing that, and then Easy got me on a Back Again, the first Back Again volume he did with Wayne or him, Downsy was on it.
I've heard that.
So that was sort of the next step that I got, and then we got bookings. I actually got booked up in Workington off the back of that, me, Wayne and Easy, and we went up to what's it called, underneath Soup?
Bart's.
Yeah. So we went up there, and that was my first sort of big booking outside of Wigan. So I went up there, and obviously Workington's Workington. You get there, everyone's fucking insane going to it. And I said a lyric that was on the Back Again volume that I'd done, and the fucking full crowd sang it back, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not even comfortable saying that lyric properly yet. Like, I've not learnt it. How the fuck do you lot know it? And
it's just one of them, isn't it? It's I say this every podcast now. It's getting to the point where it's getting ridiculous, but nobody is more up for it than Cumbrians.
They're not.
And I think it's because we're deprived. Because
isolated.
You could go to Wigan, right, and tonight.
Finch's events on.
Finch, there you go. Finch's events on.
Last weekend there wasn't an event on in Wigan, so I put one on. on 3 days' notice.
Oh,
I just
seen
put
that, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Was that the Queen's
the
rave?
Queen's God Save Our Rave thing? Yeah. It was just an off the cuff thing. I thought, fuck it, you know what? Put it on. There was an event on I think Scott and Avi had events on in Bolton.
Yeah.
So there was that, but there was nothing in Wigan, and I had Void, which was obviously big back in the day for little sort of
brands and that.
and off the cuff nights as such. So I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it, and I put it on, and it went all right for 3 days.
Yeah.
It was fucking.
As I say though, but it like
there's always events.
In Wigan you could go and you 9 times out of 10 there's going to be something on. In Workington, it did get ridiculous for a while where there was something every other weekend. But like, I remember, I've run events up there for a long time. But I remember I brought Finchy up for the first time in it was years at this point, and like people were treating him like he was a fucking A-lister. Like I've talked about it on the podcast. Yeah. We had to get him escorted out the building because it was just fucking mental.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like you said,
people love the rave music and that. The good thing about me is like I'm always dead proud to say that I bring a following when I get booked for say like Sankey, Carlisle or Blackpool because for me,
that's
like
for me. I think I know what you're
people
going to say.
follow it.
Sorry to butt in, but yeah. If you bring that, then that's an achievement because, as we said earlier, people go for the rather the brand or the venue or just because something's on.
Yep.
If you can actually bring people that come in specifically to watch you, then that's it. You're winning. Do you know what I mean?
I always thought like when I was like 17, 18. I was like, I could have like a convoy of 3 or 4 cars come down with me wherever I played, and it was like, and as you get older, that sort of drops off because everyone's got kids, everyone sort of moves on and whatnot. And then, but for a while I thought, oh, I'm bringing nothing to the table. But then I was turning up to say Sankey in Blackpool, right? I get there, and like my cousin and all his mates are there, and it's like, they'd all come along because of that, and it's just like. There you go.
It's a proper sense of achievement because they've come for you, so you've won. Do you know what I mean? That's how it is. Going back to Workington and saying that it's a completely different vibe up there. I performed there years ago, back in like early just before like the recession, 2006, 2007 or something, and it was the same then. It was boom. So when we got booked after the back again to go back up, I don't think Easy will mind me saying this, but we was going up and. As far as I'm aware, I don't think Easy had played up there. And I was saying to him, like, look, chill out a bit, be careful, because it's fucking manic up there. And as big as Easy was at the time, he was going to be getting... I'm telling him, look, a couple of things to watch out for, do this, do that. And I said to him, don't get too caught up, because I know what you're like. He'll end up there for the fucking weekend or something, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's 200 mile away from his house, so he doesn't drive. It's not like you can just get on a train and go straight back to Wigan. So I'm like... Listen, Bicker. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, Jones. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm on with you. I'm on board with you. 10 minutes into it, he come over to me, girl in his arm. Jonesy, this is such a bother. I'm like, for fuck's sake. And I knew then. And then as I was leaving, I'm going to stay here. No, you're not, Lomo. You're not. You cannot stay here. Going on. I'm like, fucking hell. Yeah, I'll have to ask his opinion on that, if I can put it out or not. But yeah, it was fucking comical. Because I knew it was going to happen, and it did, because it's just a complete different vibe up there. Yeah. It was only recently... It was when Soup was open, so probably a couple of years ago. Enterprise had put a video out. I think it was a flexing video for Luca, and he had a bright Nike jacket on, and we did it. And Enterprise was on it with me, and we went up, and he got out the car and walked towards the club, and lots of people, because he had this jacket on, they must have went, bang, that's the guy, and they obviously knew who he was, and they just went, whoom. So that same thing you're saying with Finch, just fucking bum round Enterprise, and I was like, fucking hell. And like the first time I started going back up there and walking, and people going, oh my god, is he Jonesy? What can we have the picture? I'm like, what the fuck? It's just a complete different world.
Absolutely.
Because down here, we see the same people over and over again. So it's like, yeah, you'll go, oh, how you doing, Jonesy? Yeah, and Hogan will shake hands or whatever, but you don't get that reaction. That reaction you used to get 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when the scene was private.
You've got to remember though, this is a big part of it.
Social media.
No, mate,
No.
it's not. It's you're in Wigan and like and 15 years ahead because we're still on fucking dial-up connection, mate, up there. We're like honestly in the stick. There's nothing goes on.
This is what I said. So we went to Doncaster. I 2 events I did. Nearly coming back to the scene this time. One was in Workington, which is the Barts one.
Yeah.
I think it was a sections for Chris. And one was in Doncaster, and I'm like, listen, these people are still in fucking Kappa button-ups, like, and but it's phenomenal because they're still in that atmosphere, they're in that era and that thing before phones.
Yep.
Where you go to a rave here and it's just lights. You can just see cameras and you see all that. You go to a rave up there, and it started creeping in a bit now. But when I first started going up to Doncaster, Workington. I know it's opposite sides of the country, but going to them places where they are sort of, but like you say, on dial-up back in the day, the atmosphere is just so much better. It's crazy. It
did get a bit weird for a while. I remember being on I played for, was it, I can't remember, it was in Super, I know that. Played for Dutty Donkers, that's who it was.
I think I was there. I think me and Duffy was on.
I can't remember, to be honest with you, at the time.
I know he was on as well.
We've played. You've played a set together in Soup.
Yeah.
Was that not the after party for Sanctuary?
The
Sancfest. Yeah.
Might be. Yeah.
But the Dutty Donkers one, and it was at that point I started to notice where the crowds changed a little bit. Like it was a lot younger.
Yeah.
And also, I remember because for me, I'm the DJ. Like, I'll never pick what I play. I'll just do it. I'll have a tune in mind I want to start with for the vibe of the night. As I say, if it's something
harder.
So I'll have my first tune planned out, and then I'll play it, see how it's reacting, and then so every tune I mix in, I'm looking up, seeing. And I remember I played the first tune, and then I mixed in the second tune, and then I went to look up to see how they react to the drop and stuff. I looked up and I couldn't see the dance floor because it was just everyone with the lights on the phones because the MC was on in front of me, and I honestly can't remember who it was. It might have even been the Dutty Donkers lads, and I literally looking for a reaction, but I couldn't gauge a reaction because of that many phones were looking at the thing, and it was a bit of a mental experience, but. Yeah,
I suppose though it's a catch-22 situation because without the video footage circling online of events and going, fuck, that looks sick, I want to go there. Without that, you wouldn't have it. But then with it, it takes away the sort of the old school feel where it was just you.
Yeah.
It was the ravers, the MCs, and the DJs as a combination. And obviously, as technology moves along, you're going to have phones coming in and doing. Obviously, we're way past that point now. Everyone's got phones, but you're seeing a lot more, like you said, in Workington. When I first went, there was maybe 10 phones in the crowd dotted around, lights on.
Yeah.
Now, it looks like a fucking Coldplay concert. You've just got lights everywhere.
This is how I look at it though. I'm bad for the phone crack. Like, see if I'm DJing, I'll always try and catch a video just so it's something to remember. Do you know what I mean? Like, because or
whatever. For promo, so it's both. So you get both.
If I go on a night out, I tend not to go on nights out. Like, if I go for a drink, to bounce nights. I'm not sure why it is. I just don't. But like, if I go on a night out, you won't see my phone all night. Like, and you won't see me in the state I'm in. Like, I can get like. As I say, when my missus was at uni, we'd go out, and sometimes I wouldn't even have a phone. So like, people try and get hold of me on a night out. Like, where at so and so, we'll meet you there, and it's like somebody. I'd purposely have to be with somebody else just so I didn't get lost from all of our mates. So it's one of them, isn't it? If I'm out drinking, I'm there to enjoy myself. So I don't want to get my phone out and start recording and shit like that. I'm not into that. That's my mentality.
The younger generation are stuck in the mindset where I was in, is they want to be cool. They want to, so they'll get a video of an MC or anything, so that it's sharing the memory, but also it's like, I was with him last night. I was there. And it's the complete, for me personally, the complete wrong mindset to be in. You should go to enjoy it and do that, not for the social media side of it, but I might be just getting old now and Like, I don't agree with it.
Like, I know for a fact tonight I'm going to this Sanctuary gig and I'll be recording footage for afterwards. It's just one of the things you just know you're going to be doing it, and it's just like...
Yeah, but from a performer's point of view, I think
Yeah.
it's as we spoke about before, promo. Obviously, for an artist, you need promotion, whether it be by paying someone to come and do a video for you, someone else, you recording the footage for yourself, or doing mixes, videos, appearances.
Exactly,
You need to keep up with that promo and keep up with that networking
Yeah.
in order to sort of stay relevant. And so for us it makes sense, but from a raver's point, I mean, who am I to say? If everyone does what they want to do and they enjoy it, then I may be looking in a bit too into it. But I think coming from a generation the same as you, where we didn't have phones, we didn't have social media, and everything was on mixtapes and stuff, we've seen both, and we know which is better. And yeah, I think it just goes down to personal preference.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's nothing you can do about it.
No.
We're in 2022. We're not in fucking 2002.
exactly,
You know what I mean? It's just one of them. We'll sort of move on a bit now. So obviously we've got back to the Guildhall thing again. So as it comes up to sort of 2018, 2019, pre-COVID, how was it looking for them? Were you still actively looking for bookings, or
I was mad busy.
Right.
Mad busy, like every weekend, twice a weekend, sometimes 3 times a weekend. I think the weekend before, I think it was a bank holiday if I remember right. As we shut down in the March, I think it was the April bank holiday that locked down afterwards. I had 4 bookings on the weekend, so I was absolutely mad busy flying between Newcastle here. There, I was doing bits with Blackout, doing shows with them up in. I did a few Newcastle. What's the festival called down? I can't remember what it's called. The one with the paint and everything. Big. I can't remember what it's called, but we did one down in Newport, and I was they. Do you know what I mean? I'm fucking blessed that they said, yeah, come along with us. I got to share that experience.
Yeah.
And I was performing with them. So I was mad busy, and then as lockdown hit, my mental health just went massively down, and I just did the same thing again. I just went fuck that and just retreated, and just that was me. I was just on my own, just out of the way, and had minimal to no involvement apart from I did a Sopranos kitchen session, in I think it was in over Blackburn somewhere. Did a Sopranos kitchen session with the lads there, but other than that, I didn't really involve myself in it throughout lockdown. Just wallow back into my own ways.
I know we're like sort of a year back out of the thing, and maybe a little bit longer. But have you found your way again? Are you back into it, or what's your stance as it stands today?
Yeah. So now, after coming back out of lockdown, I think it was definitely as we come back out of lockdown, I got into a better place mentally, especially sort of the back end. I come out of a shit relationship during lockdown, and found out loads of shit that fucked with my head a bit anyway. But then afterwards, after we like sort of coming into winter of 2021, 2021, coming into winter of 2021, I just got this massive boost up the arse, and I was like in a better place mentally, in a better place physically. I lost about 4 stone, so I was just in a much better place, and I was like, I wanna tackle the fucking world. You know, you have them times where you think you can take on the world, and the other times where you think you're not worth fucking anything.
That's the mentality of an artist, though. That's all that is.
That's it, and it's a lot of it is to do with the feedback that if you're constantly getting praise and everything, then you're obviously gonna be on top of the world. And if you hear a bit of negativeness, you just. But now, as I said, I don't care. I honestly don't give a fuck what anyone thinks about me. What I do is I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for anyone else, and it's a much better place for me, at least mentally, to be, because I take away a lot of not liability, but I'm not accountable for anything, because I do just what I want to do.
Yeah.
And my main focus is not to please anyone else or be accepted by anyone else. I'm doing it because it makes me happy, and that's it. So that's why I come full steaming with LinkedIn. I've got a couple of running events, my own events that I put on. I did the Jonesy's birthday bash and Jonesy's Valentine's do before lockdown, but then coming back into it, the events we do in Liverpool, the Back to the Dog roller coaster, them ones, I put more into that. I put more into other events that I've got an involvement in.
Yeah.
Putting events on even at Workington and stuff like that. I get a lot more from it. It's a lot more fulfilling for me if I'm doing things like that. So I've sort of took a step back on the MCing front, and I enjoy DJing more than I do MCing.
Mm-hmm.
So now I DJ as well because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So but I've definitely got a massive boot up my ass to just. I'm not quite sure yet on how, when, why, and where, but to do better.
Yeah, I
don't know where the finish line is. I've not necessarily got a goal. I just want to do more and do better as a whole. Maybe MCing, DJing, promoting, everything, these podcasts and everything, just moving forward rather than staying still or moving backwards, just progressively moving forwards.
Yeah, I said, like, somebody asked me it might have been on the podcast, or I don't know if it was on the podcast or not, but someone said, like, what is your goal with all this? And I'm like, there isn't an end goal. Like, no. I'm just, as long as I have fun and as long as I get a booking, like, my ideal thing is I don't take more than 2 bookings a month, because obviously I've got a little lad at home, and then I like spending time with him, and like a lot of people don't realise that, do they? Like, a lot of people don't realise that, like, oh, why are you not on this event? Well, one, I haven't been asked for one.
Yeah.
Or I might have been asked.
It's not suitable.
Yeah, it's not suitable for it. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to quiet down massively. I've got a little boy due in November, so I'm going to quiet down massively then, obviously, because he's going to come first and my family's going to come first, so I have to quiet down.
Yeah.
So I put a status on not so long ago saying, look, I'm sorry because I was turning a few bookings down, and I don't like being the person to do that. So I just put a thing on to literally just say, look, I'm going to be only taking big gigs, or not necessarily big gigs that I want to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Selective.
That's it. Yeah, I'm going to be very picky with the gigs that I'm doing, and it's nothing personal to the brands that are asking or anything. It's just, if it's suited, I will do it. If it's not, I won't. And then that goes back to the mentality of I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at from that. But from a promoter's side, I'm looking at doing more because I get more enjoyment out of it. I'm DJing. One
thing I've noticed that I was always up until about probably about a year or two before the pandemic. So say 2018, right? About 2018, I was always like trying to be a people pleaser, and like, I'll produce this style of music, or I'll mix this style of music. And since 2018, I know there was the void of lockdown and that, but like 2018 it started picking up. 2019 it got like really good. 2020 was set to be a big year for me. I had all these like things penciled in of what was going to happen throughout the year, and obviously it went to shit. But then it took me a while to find my feet again after when we come back. But then now, because I play for myself, I play music that it's for the crowd, but I'm not, as you said before, I'm not playing to please the people, the other DJs.
Yeah.
So, and I've noticed that I get more praise doing it my way, and then like
you feel better because you've been true to yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I find.
Exactly.
I find so before lockdown, people if we was doing a gig, because I was the sober one.
Yeah.
Say we was going to Workington, which is already a fucking killer of a drive, 2 hours and 30, depending on where you're going. I think the one with Wayne, I drove to fucking Wrexham or wherever Wayne lived at the time, picked him up, which is opposite direction, an hour and a half, to then go back. I picked Wayne up, easy up, and then went up there. I left at like 6 o'clock in the evening and got back at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was doing all this because I wanted to be people's friends, and I went, oh, please fucking accept me. And it's just such a stupid mentality looking back at it. But now, like, I get artists that still sort of depend on me. They're like, oh, you're going there, will you give us a lift? Because normally I would. And I'm just saying, no. You know what I mean? I'm saying, oh, if you can get to Wigan, you can get on a train to Wigan. I'll pick you up from Wigan train station, I'll take you. But I was sick to death of, like, going out my way, picking people up, adding hours onto my journey and doing all this because I just wanted to be accepted. And it got to an extreme level where people started losing respect for me because that's how I was. So now I've gained that respect back off them people because I'm true to myself, and I also gain my own respect, and I'm happy in myself because I'm true to myself rather than trying to impress.
It's one of them, isn't it? Like I found that for a long time there was people. I've run events up my way, and I was putting people on who I thought I'll give them a chance and see. Like, 'cause I like what they do. They've got their own thing. And then the next minute they're surpassing me and they're getting these bookings. I'm thinking, what's going on? Or producers on a label, like I'd get them on and I'm like, what is going on? And it's because I found that I'm not one of these people who'll like befriend people for benefits.
Yeah.
And like anyone who I talk to because I like them. Like,
because you're a genuine person rather than People have but the thing. So I'm the same as you, and I pride myself on having good intentions and wanting other people to do well and help other people and stuff like that. So for me to take a step back and actually say, no, I'm doing this for myself, it was hard because but I still maintain that I'm a good person and everything as well. But I was helping so many other people out and putting myself at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, and like you say, when you do that with people and they don't have that mentality, the same mentality as you, they just use you as a stepping stone and they just boom, and then they go up, and then you feel like done by.
Yeah.
But it was you that allowed that to happen because you was the platform for that to do. And for me, I'd much rather somebody else achieve than me achieve, because achievement is a very specific to that person.
Yeah.
For me to be winning in life, music doesn't even need to be involved.
Yeah.
If I've got my family and I've got my own happiness and work's going well, this is going well, that's what I pride myself off.
So it's success is what you make of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Where other people, the sole success is what they're doing within the bounce scene or what they're doing within their specific area. Where I'm not like that. So I'd much rather see somebody who wants to succeed in that area than myself, because it doesn't mean a great deal to me. It does to them, so I'd rather them.
Yeah, I can get that absolutely. As I say though, I didn't mean that to say, but because obviously someone might listen to this and think something else, but I didn't mean that I was getting people and then I was making them. I wasn't by any stretch, but I was giving them a platform for other people to notice, because it's one of them things, isn't it? Like, an example is, I'm not going to name names because it's not. I'm a better person than that, but like I've had people message me on the that's been on the podcast before saying, listen, I really appreciate you having me on, blah blah blah, this has helped me out, and it's put people onto me, like promoters getting onto them saying, I've heard you on Brad's podcast, and you know something, that was a big sense of achievement for me. It's like I've helped him in some sort of way, and it's one of them things. We'll move on to the second part now, if that's all right, mate.
Of course,
this is questions that people have wrote in. If you've got any questions that you want to ask the podcast, send it on. Instagram seems to be the busiest one at the minute. So send it on Instagram or Facebook at It's Time to Refresh. And basically ask anything you want, because, as I said, we get some strange questions in. A lot of it is music related, a lot of it isn't. A lot of it's food related. I wonder why, but just one of them things, ain't it? So, first question, if you haven't seen the podcast before, mate, basically we'll just ask questions and both give our own separate answers on it.
I watched the one with Joe and Ben rushing.
Yeah. Hi there, Brad. One for you and the guest. What gets you creative outside of bounce to help you get creative inside bounce? And that's from Alan. Creative, I'm not sure what he means, but what I'm thinking of is, if I was for you, say, being a MC, what gets you creative? Say, writing lyrics and stuff like that. Like, where do you pull inspiration from?
I think what he meant by that is, like, from externally, where'd you get your motivation and thinking from? And for me, it's seeing people just smash the life out of it, regardless of whether it's in the scene or not. Just seeing people who are just super active all the time doing it, and I think
does that get you
that makes me want to do it. Yeah. So if I listened, like, I go back to Easy again because obviously he's a mate, but when I see he just just constantly writing, doing that, it makes me feel fucking lazy. I'm like, fuck.
So it gives you a kick up the arse.
Gives you a kick up the arse to do it. But then also, if I see people like doing stuff outside of the scene, so they're smashing the gym, they're smashing the job, they're doing their own personal growth, and they're doing it, and it just gives me that sort of to achieve more. Do you know what I mean? I watch a lot of podcasts and stuff, not bounce related, Joe Rogan podcasts, even like TED Talks, stuff like that, and I get my my inspiration, the fire sort of to go from all. I take it from different things. I take it from in the scene, from outside the scene.
Yeah.
Just from watching others do well makes. I think it's natural, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Watching other people do well makes you want to do well.
It's like DJing, or it's like anything. If I've always said that, like, there's DJs out there, there's different styles of DJs. When I play, I like to show that I'm having a good time because it's infectious. So when you see success is infectious. So if you surround yourself by people who are driven and want to do it, it makes you driven as a person.
Of course, yeah.
Just one of them things.
So just on the basis of that, Duffy, MDMC, like, massive respect to him, because he said I've had a lot of wise words from him. He's said about when you're 30, you'll sort of see, you'll realise what's important to yourself, and I did, and he's helped me in a lot of other aspects, because he's a very switched on guy, and he's been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So I'll listen. I take it. Sometimes he doesn't think that I listen, but I do listen a lot of him, and I take a lot from him. So he's one of these people, and I've got like friends. Connor, one of my mates, he's really level-headed. So it just helps you be more on that level than level-headed, and see through the fog and the bullshit and just move forward.
Absolutely. Creativity for me. I like seeing people experiment. So like when it comes to production, for me, when I'm writing tunes, I don't ever go to. I used to, as I say, pre sort of 2018-ish. I'd be always listening to what's I don't know.
What's Wayne doing?
Yeah, what's Fitzy Rossi B doing? Like, because I was heavily influenced by them. Yeah. What's Kenny doing and stuff like that. So I'll just copy that, and then you realise it's not good for you. Like, it doesn't work.
So prior to lockdown, I didn't mean to, but listening to the artists that I listen to, MCs, I don't really listen to MCs anymore. I watch videos and I give them a share and do that, but I don't really listen to MCs. But beforehand I did, and going right back to the start, I used to listen to Arky all the time. And then when I listen to recordings of myself now from fucking 15 years ago, I'm like, fuck me, I'm just trying to be Arky, and not even realise I was doing it.
Yeah.
I'm like, fucking hell. And then more recently I listened to we did an Antidote Volume 10 video mix, and I was like I said something, and I was like, fucking hell, I sound like it sounds like I'm trying to be Viper, and it's not. It's just that I've listened to.
It just influences,
So a lot of the time, if you, like you say, if you're a producer, if I'm an MC, it's probably not wise to listen to other MCs or other producers, because without realising it, these people inspire you, and it shows in your work without not intentionally. It just comes out in that way.
It's like I've talked about this on other podcasts with somebody else, but I think about I overthink things. Like, if you listen to my productions, I would say I'm not the best in the world, but the intricacy of my productions, like, because I started listening to quite avant-garde stuff where it was like using noises from certain things. So if you listen to one of my tracks, there'll be stuff that you'll if you now I've told you that you listen to it. There's bits in it you're like, oh right, he's done that sort of thing. And I listen to that. That's because of outside inspirations. Like, so I was listening to a lot of, say, I like bits like garage that I like. I like this. Like, a lot of people don't like it, but I like tech house music. Like, I think it's if it's got the right groove. Because there's a lot of people who's a wannabe like tech house producer, and that's where it sounds watered down and shit. But like the proper stuff, it's quality.
Yeah, of course, it's really well produced.
I like hardcore, like drum and bass. I was heavy. Like, if you listen to my stuff from sort of 2018, 2020, it was heavily influenced by jungle. I had loads like jungle bleeps and shit like that in my music, and it's just yeah, I always look outside for my inspiration because then I can't be called a copy.
Yeah, exactly. But in some respects, it sort of still is, but it's widening the horizon rather than taking it from your doorstep.
Yeah.
You're taking inspiration from elsewhere, and no matter where you get it from, you're gonna not copy, but you're gonna be inspired from everything and everywhere. And going back to what we were saying about moving the scene forward, in that respect, this is something that we need to do. Why are we not using riffs out of drum and bass and stuff like that in bounce music? Why are we not using the MCs from drum and bass in bounce music and exploring more channels?
I've had this argument with people before, but that's the thing though. Like, so if I've tried to go to experimental before and it doesn't work. So for instance, I was listening to a lot of breakbeat hardcore at the time, and I put out a track, and on the drop, it doesn't kick in with the usual like donk drop. It comes in with like a break beat, but with the donk and that in it and everything, and it just went down like a lead balloon.
Yeah,
Obviously, you can try stuff,
but you do that. You do so. What you find with people who have been super successful, they've failed 200 times, and then the fucking light bulb goes and it hits. So I think that as a community, as a scene, not even just in bounce music, but in the wider scene, more experimental stuff like that, and we'll go on. It's like when Melbourne sort of first come in. Like if someone had tried to do that when Italian was popping, no, everyone would go, "What the fuck's this?" There's a time and a place for everything as it comes along. Yeah. So when
certain people peak at certain times as well, because that's what they're known for in that song.
At the moment, Creamfields was on a couple of months ago. Bounce galore. Yeah. It was literally fucking donk drops left, right, and centre. Actual, I think one of Wayne's tunes was playing on. So this has got to tell us that we're doing something right.
Yeah, there is a big audience there available.
There's a big audience there, but what it is a lot of the time as well is how it's branded. It's deemed as chavvy. It's deemed as this. But you take that music out of that chavvy environment, put it into somewhere which is socially pleasing, like Creamfields, and all of a sudden it bangs. Well, no, it bangs there as well. Yeah. But your perception is that that's
chavvy,
and that's not. But it's exactly the same thing. So yeah, change the mindset, change the game. That's what I say.
Next question is, if you could bring back one person in the bounce scene from back in the day, who would it be and why? And that's from Lewis. Right, I'm reading this as in it's somebody who's obviously no longer doing bounce stuff, because obviously that's just a ridiculous question then. But bring someone back. The obvious is for me, like obviously you Mike Descala. Like
doing a DJ and MC.
You can do whatever you want. There's the obvious one, but then I'd go like an outsider. I'd like to see like Quadrasonic come back, Paul Roberts, and do something like that. That's just my personal preference.
And the likelihood of them coming back over Mike Descala is a hell of a lot more.
I don't know though. You don't know. Like,
obviously when you've Mike Descala being in the place he is.
Oh yeah. But then again, bounces play the Creamfields.
This is it. And I'm contradicting myself because I said anything's achievable. So it could be.
Let me think. MC. You can do yours, mate. I'll have a think of an MC.
So for me, DJs. It'd be Desire.
Right, Desire. Good,
sort of coming DJ. Back. Yeah, properly. And MC, he's not as well known as a lot of other people, but MCP. So he was
Dorsadonk.
He was around that time. He was just fucking phenomenal. Him or Prendo. There was two. He was a Scouse MC. There were two fucking unbelievable MCs that coming back would be unreal. And then as I said, Desire for a DJ because he just doesn't do it.
Yeah, Pete is good. That's a good shout. That. That's actually a really good shout. When I first heard him, I was like, "Wow, he's good," and then he's sort of like
disappeared again. But this is it. He's one of them people that you said earlier on. Like when I heard Easy, did I know that he's just gonna be? Yeah. When the first time I heard P, I was just like, what? Just super high. I was like, what the fuck? And then he just, I've tried to get him to come back, and I know Easy has a few times and stuff, but he's just not interested.
Yeah.
And Stricko's another one.
Stricko, yeah.
Stricko, a DJ. I know it's heavily Dorset oriented, but Desire wasn't. So yeah, Stricko was a phenomenal DJ as well.
MC, I can't think of an MC.
It's hard really because you've got.
They're all pretty active, really.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's I'd say Race maybe because he doesn't really do as much as from what he did back in the day. Palmer, MC Palmer off Kids on Dids, you might not.
No.
So this again was sort of the Blackpool. You've heard of Bugsy.
Yeah, Bugsy.
So it used to be Bugsy and Palmer. That was the original Kids on Dids.
Right.
There was Bugsy Palmer, and there was Harry H, and can't remember the other DJ's name, but they were fucking phenomenal. So yeah, for MCs it'd be P and Palmer. DJs would be Desire.
Yep.
I can't think of another DJ yet. Well, there's a lot, but Desire's the one that comes to my mind straight away.
Right, it makes sense. I can't think of an MC, but as I say, I'd bring back Quadrasonic. There's your answer to that,
City
Lewis.
B as well.
City B, I always enjoyed his sets, even though it was not something I'd usually go for. If I was in the mood for something like a bit tougher and harder, I would stick with City B. So he was like my go-to
hard.
At the time. Yeah, I remember hearing him. I'm sure he was I went to Fusion under 18s and he was on doing a blackout set, and he came on playing the style he does, and I was just like, wow, this is different. Because obviously a lot of people aren't brave enough to play tunes like that. Like, do you know what I mean? And the last question for today is, hi mate, wondering how do you deal with someone heckling or being violent whilst DJing? Have you got any stories on this? And that's from Carl W. You don't get really heckled. Yeah, as a bounce. I used to do commercial stuff, and you'd get like the local fucking mongs come to you, like do this, blah blah blah. The only one that sticks out in my mind was Lado was gonna kill me, right? Like for legit kill me as well. He was standing outside the club with a fucking smashed up bottle waiting for us, and I was just like, why? Like, this was in Whitehaven, this as well. So this, I know who he is. He just got out of prison, and it was his first night out, and you could tell it was his first night out in ages because he went out in like trackies and that. I know there's people listening to this who know the story as well, so it's quite fucking funny. So I was playing my set away. It was at one of my nights. It was busy, but he kept like lingering around the DJ box, and he was there. And he'd had whatever he'd had, but he was sweating his fucking box off, right? And he was going, "Give me that mic now, you fucking dick!" And I'm like, "No." And he's gone, "Give me the mic now, or I'll fucking dig it." Nah, I'm not getting it. And then it was just going on and on and on. And then he picked a fucking glass up, and it wasn't a glass, it was a bottle. It was a Desperados bottle, and threw it at me. And I like, it was that wrecked. It didn't get anywhere near me. So then. The bouncers and that's in it and all coming over. Like, how do I deal with heckles is just don't fucking acknowledge it. Because for me, it's like, there's been times where, like, if you acknowledge it, you just fucking adding fuel to the fire. They want the reaction out of you, and it's just like, nah. Like, if I get like the heckles of like I remember playing a bounce set, and it was and someone she come over and she's like, "Can you play some Queen Bee or Nicki Minaj?" I'm like, you're
Obviously
really not at the right. You've paid £10 or £15 to get into this night, knowing that you're not going to be hearing that type of stuff. So that's the thing. But anyways, as the night went on and that, he wouldn't fuck off. He kept running away onto the harbour when the police were coming around, because they were looking for him, because he'd punched someone like in the smoking area as well. Like, he was just being a dick.
He was genuinely going to cause a problem. So.
Yeah. So he'd smashed a bottle outside, and he's standing there waiting for me because I wouldn't give him a go on the mic. And I thought, what's the worst could happen here? Like, because do you know what I mean? I was in my comfort zone in Whitehaven. If I was in Wigan and someone did this in Wigan,
it's different.
I would be like, am I going outside? But I just thought, I'm done now. I've got me gear and that. Walking to the car and that, and then I just seen him getting absolutely levered outside. He tried punching someone and they'd fucking done him. So fuck you, mate.
Nah. At the end of the day, though, as well, like we're doing this. It's hard to say sometimes it's a job, but it is.
You're doing a job. It's not a job to you, but you're doing a job.
We're doing a job. We're there to provide a service that we've been booked for. If you've got, it's a massive pet hate of mine, if you're on stage and people are fucking hounding you and blagging you and going on, like, the promoter should there should be security in place. There should be something to stop you doing it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily people coming over pictures X, Y, Z. Obviously, that's
different. Yeah.
part of the, you know what I mean. That's how it is. But when you've got people who are mic blagging or coming up on, for me, if you're on stage, it should be either artist that's on next with yourself. Mm-hmm. Same with the DJ and maybe the promoters, sound technicians. Everyone else shouldn't be there. That's what it should be. And when I like it when you have setups where you've got security at the side of the stage. Yeah. Anyone tries to get up, boom, rip them down. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. Because it can ruin the full vibe. It can ruin the full night. There was an incident. I think it was over in Burnley sort of way, and this guy was proper going on, and like you just want to fucking just, you know what, fuck off. But it's obviously not going to go down well. But if security were there, it wouldn't happen, and that's where it needs to be intervened. Yeah. Funny enough, going full circle back to Stu Allen, the last set I did with Stu Allen was about 2 months ago, and there was a girl stood at the side of me with a fucking horn on stage, going burp, 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 and it was like, oh my fucking god! And my missus dad was stood on stage with me, and I was like, I was just boiling, and Stu was getting really, and he said to me, and he's like, "Yeah, mate, fucking get this woman chill out a bit." Yeah. And Alison, Stu's partner, was there, and she's getting, and we're all just aggravated because someone's just going meh, 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 and I'm like, who's? So I end up texting the guy who I run events with, whose night it was. It weren't my night that night, but I just messaged him and said, "Yeah, come and get this fucking woman off stage." And anyway, the day after, she fucking jumps in my inbox, starts going, "You fucking this." I'm like, what? It's called fucking respect. I'm like, just
exactly.
Come, like, if you want to do the horn, if you've come as a raver, be in the crowd, fire your horn off all you want. But the mic's here, I'm here, and you're fucking firing a horn.
It's projecting through the system.
The recordings. So the other day when I heard the news about Stu, shortly after, I put the recording on from that night. Yeah. Because I wanted. You know what I mean? This was my thing, so I put it on. I wanted to listen to it, and all I could hear was meh, 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 this on. And I was just like, fucking hell. So that's one story for myself, and the other one's just mic blaggers in general. Every MC hates them. Every club has them. They're just a fucking nightmare. If you're not booked on the night, like there's a way to mic blag respectfully. There is. Yeah. Because I've had it. Yeah. If I know someone, say there's an MC that's like good, but he's not getting the bookings that he should be doing or whatever, but I'm aware of that person. If he's sort of like around at the time and doing it, he's on the side of stage doing this. A lot of times, some promoters don't like it. A lot of times, I've got to fucking come here, mate. But I'm giving him. I know he wants to go. He's there. Yeah. And I've been the other side of it. I've been on the dance floor, sort of looking at fucking Cover or Easy or whatever. When I back going, and so there's a respectful way of doing it, and there's an horrible way of give me that fucking mic again, aggressive when you get told no.
Or the fucking their eyes are rolled back into the red, and they're going, "Oh, I can MC spitting all over you."
You've got to be in a fit state. You've got to be in a fit state to do it.
Understandable.
Even top tier MCs that I've been on events, and there's been a top tier MC trying to get a go on the mic, and this guy's in a bad way. Yeah, you feel bad. Because he's my mate, he's fucking probably a better MC than me, but I don't want to give it him because he's fucking
absolutely. Before we close up today, I'll get on to a good story actually about fucking one that sticks out in my head, and he was on form that night. I'm not even joking. Like you were saying about people who've had a drink and that. I remember I was on with Cover it was Sanctuary in the main downstairs. I don't know why the room had changed. It was in like the Viking bar.
It's probably as it was closing the club down. Because as it was closing down, they kept moving the rooms until eventually.
Oh no, but I coincidentally I did the last set in Domain for Sanctuary before they left. So it wasn't that. This was before this. It was like Sangfest, but it was all different rooms. Anyways, whatever had happened, Cover was on, and he came on. He'd had like a proper good day. I think he was playing football for a team, and they'd like done dead well. So he'd had a drink in that.
When they won,
I can't remember
the league,
what it was.
maybe.
Yeah. And he came on. He had a bottle of champagne. He shook it up and fired it into the crowd. And he honestly, but if you listen back to it, I think it's a recording somewhere. But if you listen to the recordings, or if you listen to like him on the night, you could because he'd had a drink and that, and he was feeling it. He was proper. That he had a really good stage presence that night. I mean, he always does anyways because he's cooler. But
the thing with Jordan is you know what you're gonna get with him.
Yeah.
He's absolutely fucking riddled with everything. Do you know what I mean? He's just super whoa all the time. So when you there's videos of him booting fucking bottles into the crowd, skimming pints into the crowd. He don't need any help. So if he has got the influence of drug or drinking, it's going to be exciting.
It was on fire that night, like, and it was just sort of because he'd had a drink and that. It was a thing, and I knew as soon as I walked into the room, like it was. I think it was the beer colour, what it was called, the beer colour. And I walked in and I heard the Ric Flair woo and that he does the fucking cat noises and stuff like that. And I just thought he's on it tonight. Like but the thing was, it adds, obviously you can go too far where you're too wrecked to do anything, but he was at that point where he was just like proper on form about it. Do you know what I mean?
The thing with Jordan, if he's smashed and doing a set, the set's still. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like, whereas me, for instance, if I was in the state that he was in, not a pro, I wouldn't even attempt to get on the stage. I remember once in cricketer years and years ago, I was so the garage at the side of the house there, we used to have all my decks in and stuff, and we all used to come here before we'd go out on nights and that. And I come back and there was I had loads of vodka and other shit, and then I ended up in Crick. Completely unaware of what I'd done on the journey to Crick. So cricketer from here was the bottom of the street over the field, and then you're at Crick. It's literally walking distance. But there's a field with a stream, and I'd fell down the fucking side of the stream into the water, and then I can't even remember. I was on fucking absinthe. I was on everything, smashed, and I come to, and I'm like, I'm on stage in Crick with a mic. One side of my body is completely covered in mud where I've slid down this embankment.
Classy.
And I'm like, what the fuck's... And I literally, as I've come round, I've given the mic away and I've had a fucking stern word with myself. So,
classy.
But, yeah, it's funny. There's a lot of stories like that.
We'll tie up today with the last question I asked everybody. You get in the electric chair because... I don't know, you've went on a wild one, fell down a stream, and now you're facing the consequences. You've woke up and you're in the electric chair. You've got one meal you can have before you go. What you having? You can have starter, main, dessert, just main. You can have whatever you want. What you having?
Starter, halloumi. Like I'd have like a nice halloumi and chili dip with that. The main would be a big fuck off steak, cooked medium rare, or just absolutely. And dessert, cheesecake.
Nice. I don't know why everyone says steak. I like steak and that, but like if I was having one more meal, I wouldn't go for steak. I like that you have it medium rare though. Like
my missus is vegetarian, so I don't eat steak quite as much as I used to. If you asked me that question 2 years ago, I'd have probably been like, something else, a bit this. But now, steak is like a treat for me because obviously, I can eat steak whenever I want, but out of like when we're cooking, it makes sense for us to just have. The same thing rather than me having a steak and her having this and that. So the only time I go to Vizenda quite a bit, which I don't imagine you've been, but it's like a unlimited steak place. So when I go there,
I will be going there now.
I overdulge in it and just absolutely wallow myself in steak.
Meat sweats and that.
Yeah. So where are you next performing at? What's
Tonight,
your next one?
Sanctuary.
You said it, yeah.
Carlisle, the Black Box.
I've not been there. It looks good. Dead low ceiling.
Really, really good.
But
yeah.
Look,
when honestly, like, because it's so intimate and it's just class.
That's what I like. I love that. I love the
and like if there's a big drop that everyone's into or a big vocal, you can when the hands in the air, they can
touching the ceiling,
banging the ceiling when it kicks in, so you know you've put. So I'm into that.
Somewhere that.
Yeah, so that's tonight. Obviously, I don't even know why I'm going to advertise it because it's not until next Friday, but. Ultra Beats on, Corver, Farrell, John G.
There's a fucking class DJ.
Yeah, class. Yeah. There's something coming very, very good. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's very, very good. That's proper like teasing that, isn't it? That's
awful. But, there's something coming, but I can't say what it is. I've got the same, to be honest with you, and I'm going to go back on my advice. Duffy always says, don't speak about what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
But we've got some plans, which is
Plug anything you want now, mate,
changing.
as we close up.
I've not got much to plug, to be honest with you, because a lot of it is what behind closed doors. But you'll be seeing a lot more events from me in respect to promotion wise. Next place I'm on is what are we on? I'm on at Zombie Nation BTID in a couple of weeks, which is fucking obviously
Class.
one of the best. It probably is the best bouncer ever the year. And I'm actually doing a Makina mix with Duffy and Ben Rushing.
I know this.
Oh, do you already know?
I know
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Behind
So-
closed doors, I know everything, pal.
So I'm doing that, which I'm interested in because again, it's exploring, it's different, and I've got another mix where I'm doing it with MCs that when I was growing up, I listened to them. So I've approached them and I've said, I want you on board, and we've said, yeah, we've got the mix. Joe Taylor's doing the mix, so I've already got done it. He's getting on to me saying, Jonesy, when's this? When's it?
So what's that? Is it going to be classics like tunes?
No, it's not. It's
all fresh stuff.
It's fresh music, but the artists are from
from
sort of the
growing up,
ones that the kids on did, so what I used to listen to in XYZ. So yeah, that'll be really good. But this is what I want to do. I want to be more involved in projects going forward. I want to be more involved in projects that are out my comfort zone, i.e. Makina, doing stuff like that, and I want to be more involved with the scene, and I want to chat with you after this about something, an idea that I've got as well. But yeah,
no worries.
That's it.
Right, thanks for tuning in. Remember, share with your mates. It really helps the podcast grow. It's grown so much in such a short time. We've been going now 6 months, 24, 25 episodes in. And to be honest with you, like, I wasn't expecting to get such a big audience so early on. So it's thanks to people sharing it, the general public sharing it, that it's reaching new ears. So I'd appreciate it if you shared it.
It doesn't cost nothing.
Yeah,
this is the thing for me. You can share it, you can praise it, you can do it. It doesn't cost fuck all.
Yeah.
So do it.
So thanks for coming on, mate. Thank you for listening. See you next week.
See you later.